Welcome back to the English restream of RTA in Japan Summer 2025. I am your host, Pythonicus. Just a reminder, we are still looking for some commentators for some games, so if anything on the schedule, which you can find at !schedule, catches your fancy, go ahead and hit exclamation form or the pinned comment in the chat, and you too can sign up to be a commentator. Much like our next run has a commentator, Jupi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Pythonicus, for having me, and also ESR for having me. It's been a fun time to watch everything. Been also very happy to help in as a volunteer, and yeah, I'm on commentary. This is my first time doing this kind of commentary, so I'm very excited.
Heck yeah, I love to hear it. So NieR Automata has a history of being very, very broken in terms of the speedrun. What sort of nonsense can we expect as we get started here?
A lot of out of bounds and a lot of weird things. You're gonna see just a lot of different glitches that are gonna happen, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
次はNieR Automata の RTA になります。奏者のやまねこです。よろしくお願いします。
Yeah, runner Yamaneko, very talented at the game. Actually, currently 6 on the leaderboard. Very good thing.
コトンビさんに解説をお願いしてます。よろしくお願いします。
はい、エミールです。よろしくお願いします。
はい、エミールさんにお越しいただきました。
we got a new meal commentator, I see. With us.
もうすでに緊張していらっしゃる。さあ、それでは。
So, standing in front of the carnival with an area that we'll be seeing later. I hope you're excited for that. Alright.
いよいよ始まります。NieR Automata。ご反応を見てると楽しみにしてらっしゃる方もとても多くて、本当にありがたい限りですけども。いや。今日本で一番速く走れる奏者であるやまねこさんがこれから披露されます。
But first one in Japan. I'm not sure about that, but I do believe like I said, six in total on SLC, pretty amazing. You might have seen like NieR Automata in recent like events. I know there was like a big race at GQ. I'm gonna be also explaining one thing very early once the run starts about how the category currently is called A normal, and explain with what you might have seen on GDQ and other places called VC free mod, which is actually a variant of the category. So yeah, they're gonna start pretty soon, and they're gonna start with a little bit of shmup action. So if you were wanting more shmup after seeing the beautiful run of Nova Drift, I think you're gonna be served.
RTA これから披露していきます。まずは簡単なゲームの概要から説明していきましょう。本ゲームは2017年に発売された。
So I do have actually a question. I noticed that they're using English voice acting, but you know the text is still in Japanese. Is there any difference in the voice acting language? Is there any time saved or lost there?
I think it might have to do with some of the audio lines, because there's going to be a thing with trying to skip animation of... there's going to be a thing where you're going to try to superimpose a certain animation with a certain dialogue to make it so that you don't get another animation at the end of the dialogue, and so it loses time because of the way cutscenes are triggered in the game. So I think English is usually like... it's the most adapted for that. I have not really seen any runners play on Japanese, which probably explains that difference.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, here they're kind of stuck, finally getting control, and basically starting with already trying to manipulate RNG and movement of the different allies that we have, because basically they're gonna get taken down one by one throughout the shmup section, and so to make it faster, we just use the laser on us so that they just stay in the same line and just get taken down immediately. As you can see, another one, and then you can just heal yourself immediately. With it. Outside of that, shmup sections are actually very, like, they're not random at all. They're actually set in place, and strats have been developed to manage them as fast as possible. Obviously, you can have the misinput or the game just having a moment and having to manage a different setup, but otherwise, like, those sections are going to be pretty easy and set. You're not going to be seeing much variations between runners. There's even an entire boss later on that's going to be pretty long and not and going to be basically a giant shmup section that you see, like, everything's going to be under control and we don't really have anything to do. Most of the things you're going to see are on shmups are those two, like the missiles attack, which I should say the small attacks, because there's technically a missile pod later on, but basically small missiles and the blade, using the blade to take care of one corner and then shooting the small missiles on the other side to cover both sides. And now we're gonna get into a very quick speed section where basically our main character Jupi is gonna go very fast and enter the city, and is gonna do a little bit of dodging action. So I hope you're excited. Also, the music is always amazing. So, ooh, I see we're taking damage early today.
この回復薬中を使う行動が、必要になっています。正確にはこの時点で回復薬小
Now doing some side scrolling instead of vertical instead of staying in a twin stick session. Pretty simple section again, completely set. You do not have to worry about random setups. So here doing the barrel roll, well, it's not really a barrel roll, but Star Fox fans will appreciate that reference. Doing some barrel rolls to actually dodge the to do some physical attacks while on the side-scrolling action. And with this, we're finally into proper combat. So, one thing that you will see immediately is that we're going to deal a lot of damage despite being level 2, and that comes with damage glitch. Damage glitch is pretty simple. You just do a heavy attack and after a dash. And for some reason, throwing that blade forward deals 5 times the actual damage that you would deal normally. And that's how they're gonna deal with a lot of the damage, like a lot of the fights. And here we're introduced to Marks, which is just a giant bladed arm. Pretty simple to deal with. Also, you will see a lot of item usage during the run. They're gonna be using attack boosters, which on top of the damage glitch will just decimate left bars. As you can see, Marks is already at 1/3 left. So, just a lot of damage. Here, unfortunately, they kind of stuck into a waiting for a download for the pod to actually use its program directly, which is a laser this time. So yeah, once that's done, let's see what they're gonna go. Okay, so we're going for a crane skip, which, if you're not aware, you can just skip the crane by actually going onto the crane. Yes, at first there was a crane skip, but nowadays crane skip is faster, so you just do it. Basically, you're kind of going slightly out of bounds by using the vertical momentum of the uppercut attack, and then using the pods like double jump to keep that momentum in the air and just go above the rocks, and then you reach the crane. We love speed tech that invalidates other speed tech. Exactly. There's been also mentions of a crane skip. I do not know what it is because I've never seen it live, but yeah. Just wild stuff. Here, another skip for the bridge, because there's gonna be another like dialogue trigger, and then just skipping the entire detour to the last room here, and then immediately going into another out of bounds. Like I said, this game has many out of bounds. Trying to follow the line and reach the end of the factory very fast. We're gonna be coming back to the factory if you're saying, oh, well, we're not staying here much, like very long. Don't worry. You will have a little return to the factory later on. Also, those fights here in the factory, again, very set. You can just have perfect, like, strats dedicated for clearing this map. Very simple and very nice to just have an easy clearing situation. Using the laser here for the final one. And now we're finally outside. Okay, doing, oh, nice, very good out of bounds again. Using the uppercut attack to the launcher to actually go into the side part of our next boss and just go onto the giant bridge.
It's not like command to get a location wrong. I guess even they get bad intel from time to time.
Bad intel, huh? I wonder what's that about? In any case, now we're dealing with another Marx. Another arm that's just wanting to deal with us. Here, combat is going to be pretty much the same, waiting for Marx to stop doing its attacks. And we continue to do damage glitch. Mark's Mark 2. I mean, he's one level higher. Is what we could say. But yeah, with this, just, okay, moving for fun. Just having a little time, showing more out of bounds before we actually get into Marx's friend, Engels. Also, if you're wondering, yes, they are named after philosophers. It's normal. Everything is normal. Yeah. So Engels is kind of Marx, but a bit more dangerous. Different attacks, trying to basically hope that Engels does a specific attack before getting into the next spot, because there's going to be a cutscene in the middle that's going to break the the entire fight. And basically, what you want is to just fight and get the attack at the end of that part, so that you can just cutscene skip, skip the animation and just go for the next spot. Here, mostly doing some missiles here. Doesn't really want to get close, which is a bit unfortunate. Finally. So this is the double. This is the one we want to see. Just two giant slam attacks, where you can do a lot of damage glitch, and now you can skip.
This is the target. I'm going to destroy.
So now we have some support from 9S, or little support units, that is flying around in the flying armor that we saw before. And here we get a diving attack from Engels. Are we doing? I am trying to understand what Yamaneko is doing. Okay, pipe strats. There is a clear thing where you cannot get hit while on the pipe. There's another strat where you actually can stand on the front, but that means you are still like being on the front does not mean you can get hit, but at the same time you kind of want to not be like staying there. But yeah, mostly waiting on the pipe, waiting for Engels to go into attacks that we kind of like. And shooting with our little pod is always helpful.
本来だったら 2B は右側にいるはずなんですけどね。残念ながらエンゲルス君は左のパイプを殴ることはできません。さあ、超巨大機械生命体と戦う中。
Alright, so now we're finally loading onto Engels by trying double lift. Double lift is basically doing a launcher and then trying to reach ground to get a double lift out of nowhere. And here we just go out of bounds to get a cutscene trigger faster than normally intentionally intended.
今回の
That's
RTA で
what I'm saying.
ニアオートマタっていう作品をプレイした方々の常識をことごとく壊していくと思いま
This
す。
victory really cost him a phenomenon. Like, yeah, you know, Pyrrhic victories are what we strive to have here. But now, at this point, we're in control of the flying armor with Tubi, doing some long-range attacks with the sword and continuing to pelt angles with the little machine guns.
剣を飛ばす攻撃。これでダメージを与えていきます。
This fight's pretty scripted, but once you reach that part, you kind of offset and just continue. You can continue dealing damage.
ミサイル攻撃はこの射撃今ずっと5ダメージ与えまくってると思うんですが、この5ダメージ与える射撃打っていれば当たりますね。で、あとはそうですね、なんか赤い陣みたいなのを展開してくる攻撃があるんですが、それは Y に出せば当たらないということで。
I'm going to take the opportunity right now to kind of talk about VC free mode mod because I didn't mention that, and we have a little bit of waiting while the attacks are going. Oh. Never mind, I'm realizing this is the kind of thing where we were mentioning that English is faster. This is the moment where they're trying to do like the different languages overlap, where they actually have a line that started right that ended right as a new attack like should not start, and that was kind of managed that way. Because this is also like you see that they want to manage that by pausing the game. Because when pausing, you can actually let the dialogue play, but the game does not progress. So this is how they manage to overlap those. And now just get an attack boost and just damage the heck out of angles, and the fight is done. Now, in the story part here, you're gonna be back from Earth onto the moon base because you self-exploded. You self-destructed yourself, and now we're just back onto the moon base. Skipping a little bit of story here. Basically, if you're not aware of the NieR Automata story, basically humans kind of left to the moon, but because Earth was becoming popular, like there was robots, and robots really angry at the humans, and so the humans went on the moon, and we're gonna make our own robots. Also here, a little bit of funny Yoko Taro thing where you just your voice volume is your voice volume is not set correctly. You should do that. You should change that because apparently the menus are literally our own OS. Also activating autosave, which not really gonna matter much, but we'll see that later. There's gonna be a few depth abuses and other things. Also, we're also gonna start being able to equip the bare fists. And you're gonna see like starting actual like movement attack. For example, right now what it's doing is dash punching. So by dashing, then cutting the stopping point of the dash with a bare fist attack, you can just go very fast and ignore the dash recall, the dash reset. The dash slowdown. So it's a very fast way of moving. It's not the fastest way we're gonna see throughout the game, but it's the first one we get. So now that we're done with our little moonbase mission briefing, we're back to Earth movement.
If all they want is intel, we scanner models are built for that kind of thing.
Orders are orders.
All right, all right.
さあ飛行ユニットに乗って地球へ降下する間
More shmup actions. Shmup action is pretty simple. Again, set no worries about RNG. pretty easy to do. Okay, now I'm gonna finally talk about VC free mod because I've been alluding to it, wanting to talk about it, and then Engels was pretty nice and actually progressed forward. So VC free mod is actually short for Virtuous Contract Free mod, and usually it's a mod that is used to make sure that you get the drops for the Virtuous Contract blade, which is the actual short blade that we're going to be using throughout the run. VC free mod makes sure that you get the upgrades at, basically good places to put them. It changes the RNG basically of the drops. The thing is that, yes, it makes run more consistent, but obviously if you want the true unalterated NieR Automata as much as this true unalterated experience of doing out of bounds everywhere is for you. You kind of if you want to have safe upgrades and make sure that everything is consistent, you do VC free mod. Here we don't have VC free mod. It's totally fine. We're just gonna hope that Yamaneko manages to get the upgrades. If not, kind of lowers the damage of Virtuous Contract, but otherwise it's pretty simple. Anyway, more dash punching. We're gonna go directly to the Android Village, which is a sort of advanced base for the androids, trying to understand and how to fight against the robot uprising. Which, we're both robots. Can't we just talk? I think we should be able to talk together. I don't know. But yeah, so right now we're gonna be just quickly grabbing a few quests, talking to our main leader, which I forgot the name, which is terrible. I shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, grabbing a few quests because we're gonna need them for later to upgrade either Virtuous Contract or to get some items that are gonna be useful for the rest of the game. It's not Shop Trip yet because Shop Trip is gonna be when we reach the desert, but here we're gonna be doing a little bit of grinding for materials for the quests, because you can see now we have a red area, and that red area is where you are supposed to be finding the quest materials. Yeah, grabbing a few items. Got all of those dashes out of the grabbing animation.
移動手段は今この行っているダッシュプラスパンチ、短距離であればこれが最も速いです。
Now trying to cover and reach above.
ダッシュプラス、今三角に装備している小型剣ですね。強攻撃に装備している小型剣による剣投げ攻撃。
And now here we're supposed to be defeating this. Those poor fellas, they didn't do anything. They just were hanging out.
このパーツによって今装備しているこの小型剣。
But with this, we grab some of their pots, which are useful for the quest, and now we can return to the Android Village.
ありますので、先ほど説明しましたね。移動手段としては、その小型剣を投げながら走る。長距離だとそっちの方が速いよというお話もしましたが、白の契約レベル2に上げることでその速度も速くなりますので、レベル2に上げた以降はそれがメインの移動手段となってきます。また、さらに別の移動手段もあるんですが、これは見てのお楽しみという。
Clearing a few quests.
ご期待ください。
And now we have some items.
あ、コントローラー。
Oh, I don't understand what's happening on screen. Okay, apparently a little bit of an issue, but with the with the game. But we're back on track. Also did the upgrade right during the quest clearing animation. So pretty good. Now we're gonna head to the desert, and we're gonna be just doing more out of bounds, because the desert is a pretty long sequence where you would have a lot of cutscenes, a lot of places where you're just walking around, waiting for the game to progress, and don't really like that in the speedrun, so you're gonna see a bit more out of bounds fun times.
さあ、そしてチュートリアルで進んでいた時に、ダメージグリッチのお話ちらっとしましたね。回避をしながら攻撃することで、ダメージ量が5倍になりますよという説明をしました。5倍でおおすげえと思われた方、甘いですね。 甘いと言わざるを得ません。
アマちゃんですね。
アマちゃんですね。このゲームには挑発というシステムがあります。随伴しているポット、これ暗いところを移動できるようにライトをつけられるんですね。そのライトをつけたり消したりするいわゆるパッシングを敵に向かって行うことで挑発。
Oh yeah, they're explaining here right now. The commentator is explaining that yes, you do need to equip the light sword to be able to go and like do the damage glitch on the heavy side of the attack combo. Also here we bought a few attack ups, some animal food, and a now it's time for out of bounds. Good reason. The reason why we're actually gonna dodge meeting Jackass, which while a lot of people love Jackass, and I am one of those. Jackass does yap, and we really don't want to be there. So we're gonna be skipping that very fast because we don't really want to be in a conversation. And here there's gonna be another out of bounds pretty soon, just by going in there, just a little bit of a dash, and now we're gonna head towards the actual wide desert area using this side path, which actually is a little secret if you're not aware. Jackass has some mean anchovies. Yes, I agree. They do. I will say you're a robot, but the delicacy of a fish should not be wasted on you. Right now, the quest is telling us to go to various area and clear the robots there, as we're doing a little bit of reconnaissance, but also just a general general movement throughout the place. And here we grabbed a second pod, which is going to be equipped with the missile, if I remember correctly, the actual missile, which is going to be pretty useful for the shmup sections later on, because they're going to be actually very powerful attacks for those sections. But here we're kind of ignoring the paths because we're going to just continue our out-of-bounds adventures, using the sand to actually move around. Okay, got a little bit afraid that this would aggro enemies, but dispatched very fast. Pretty good. Big laser beam says no. Exactly. That's how you see it. Yeah. Now this little robot with a mask. We're kind of intrigued by it. We should investigate.
見渡す限りの砂漠が広がるエリアで、この砂漠には独特な仮面をかぶった機械生命体。
Now, not following the pipeline for that actually was using that the village was using, we're actually going to go this way to those kind of giant buildings that got damaged with time, and we're just gonna continue going up with some. Ooh. It's pretty difficult managing to do the lift and to do the lift attack and then using the geometry to do another double lift. But now we're kind of out of sequence, going into the out of bounds. And don't worry about this, we're just navigating above the empty space of the void, as we go towards our next spot, which is the Atom Pit. Now, if you're not aware of the story at that point, we're kind of wondering why there's people, like there's robots around, and also very good, you need to trigger the next cutscene with that pod. Also, now changing the bare fist to the front attack and not the heavy attack, so we can do damage glitch. But yeah, Atom Pit is basically a giant pit where some robots were doing the deed, and we're not gonna say more about that. We need this to stop. We need to actually stop what's happening because we're not understanding what's happening. Like, it's why would robots do that? We don't understand. Like, robots, what are you trying to do? But this cannot continue. Yes, I agree. We need to stop this. We shall go into the we shall go downwards and stop them. So here, a little bit of fighting before we actually get into first boss fight? Question mark? Boss fights here are gonna be mostly suggestion, considering you can just damage glitch your way out and go very fast.
大丈夫なんです。
Yeah.
ここの戦闘が終わったら勝手に拾ってくれるんです。優しいゲームシステムですね。で、この勝手に拾ってくれるっていうところでもしかしたら感づいた方いらっしゃるかもしれない。
Also here, now that we're at this, like, we're almost at the end, we're getting this to the scripted part, we actually self-destruct because this creates a giant explosion. But Adam just got defeated very fast while I was talking. Very, like, first phase done. Basically, you can see the red, like, thing around him, and that basically means that he is taunted. Taunted, like in many character action games, you might have seen this in other Platinum games developed character action things. You actually can taunt for higher damage. Obviously, the opponent also deals higher damage, but we're better. We know how to dodge, so we don't get damaged at all.
ちょっと相手の乱数が悪かったんで。
そうですね。
But now, as Adam is defeated, we get our exit point, or
若干変わったりするので、まあ動かない。
where the entire pit is falling down, and we're gonna need to actually exit.
さあそしてもう一点説明
So following the path to the exit here,
話に戻していきましょう。
and if I remember correctly, another out of bounds is waiting for us.
倍になるよというお話をさせて
Unless it's just a quick path to the outside.
そこからさらに先ほどから撃っている随伴するポットのレーザービーム攻撃ありますね。あれ一定時間チャージする必要があります。そのチャージには当然時間がかかるんですが RTA 的に
Oh, finally. Here it is. I was correct. Out of bounds all the time.
いつものことなんで。
すみません、これが平常運転なものでしてね、当たり前のように見守っていただければと思いますね。
So here we're trying to go back to the start of the desert section.
戻していきましょう。
Oh,
レーザービームを
We're having a little bit of an issue.
お話ししました。そのチャージをしている
or
間、
I think
敵の
so.
動きがスローにな
I
る
to
という特徴があります。
to be clear, I have never actually speedrun this game. I know of it through watching a lot of the speedruns, but I can tell you, like, every time there's a lot of that, a lot of out of bounds, and using the save data to actually come back in some way, or to let yourself go void out as best as you can, to return to safe ground, or sometimes safe ground inside an out of bounds.
こちらはひたすら 7.5 倍程度のダメージを与えつつ
So now that we're done with the desert, you will continue with our next spot, the Carnival Fair. There's a festival in town, but we're gonna need to do a little bit of trigger management. We're gonna need to go through a few story triggers, despite going very fast, to make sure that we're not too we don't skip too many sequences. Obviously, the game won't progress until you hit those. For example, here, the main thing that is happening is you can see that the time is going and the sky is growing dim because we're supposed to be traveling through the tunnels, and the sky is supposed to show that time has passed. We've been in there for a very long time, and now we're finally at this beautiful place, the Carnival. So also here, you might be seeing that we're gonna have our camera pointed towards the ground. That's because NieR Automata, even on PC, chugs a little bit, and so just like in the old games of yore, maybe a sudden GoldenEye 64, it's probably better to look at the ground, load as little visuals as possible, and continue forwards with your movement. Which, pretty good movement here. Skipping an entire fight on the side, and leading us to another skip here that's going to be pretty important, called Super Coaster Skip. Super Coaster basic skip is we're trying to make sure that we're not using the coaster because that would be pretty slow and it's an entire shmup section. But also at this point we're trying to use the out of bounds situation that we have to actually grab a weapon earlier than expected. So here, because we've triggered the coaster, we're gonna actually go towards the towards the place that we're supposed next to go before actually getting to the boss fight, by just ignoring everything around us and going to the next trigger.
この空いた時間で何をするかというと、
So more
宇宙にいる機械生命体を
lift here, upgrade for later on.
大事なのは先ほど遊園地の入り口まで行くと言いましたね。このステージ、遊園地入り口に
And
は
more walking through buildings.
隠されています。それを取りに行きます。
All right. Pretty good movements. Let's see if they can actually go and grab. Let's go. So here they grab Virtuous Dignity, which is a sword, spear, not a sword, a spear. Virtuous Dignity is going to be pretty useful later on because we're going to be doing something called spear dashing.
拍手拍手。
Spear dashing is the fastest way of moving around on the map. You just do a dash and then use the spear attack to cancel the dash and then return to doing the dash. It's kind of like dash punching, but the spear attack is faster. So that's going to be something to look for. As we finally enter Beauvoir. Now, Beauvoir is also pretty scripted, but a little less than Angles. As you can see, we're already dealing a lot of damage and going onto the stage to, well, as close as to the stage we can be to dodge the attacks.
このドレスの上の方ですね。
On the second phase, Beauvoir is gonna
あれ全部犠牲になったアンドロイドです。
attack us, and we're gonna need to get out of there. For people who know me, I love games with hacking minigames.
貼り付けになったアンドロイドたちを
So I had to play NieR Automata. But now, self-destruct before the end because it's a lot of damage and we can just restore our health afterwards.
上のフロアまで全てこれ生きている
Now, before just summoned a few of the former androids that were captured by the robots, and we have to deal with them. We have to liberate them in some way to progress towards the fight.
美しさというものに並々
Must have been amazing when seeing this payoff for the hacking minigame at the end of the final main route. Yeah, I can say that having finished the game, it's a lot of fun. For the hacking minigame, the hacking minigames here are a lot of fun as well.
より美しく
But yeah, mostly dealing with that phase, liberating our former android friends, and
HP を減らすことに
trying to go as fast as possible. You also saw that we used an item for the ranged attacks to be boosted. Again, means that we're actually capable of dealing a lot of damage, even without pod. Equipping the Virtuous Dignity here, doing prepping for the next thing, because we're gonna need to do a door skip, and here the fight is pretty much over.
減らしておく必要があります。さあここでアイテムを
So
あ、いいですね。
to do the skip, to do the out of bounds here, you do need the Virtuous Dignity, because it's gonna let us go in a faster way. Although not going for the door. Oh, this missed the door skip. Unfortunate. Which means we're in a little bit of a cutscene, and we're just gonna have a little wind down as we just defeated the Beauvoir. But it's okay. And now you can see a lot of movement. You might also see that there's the self-destruct screen coming out of nowhere. And that's just because it's faster to do the self-destruct inputs to cancel the spear attack. The hacking game's so good it made its way into a certain critically acclaimed MMO. No way. I wonder what you're talking about. Definitely not a game that has the same ties. You know, little indie developer Square Enix.
先ほどもう一つ移動方法があるぞと皆さんにお伝えしました。
But now, as we defeated Beauvoir, we're progressing towards our next section, which is Pascal's village.
これ、槍から小型
Pascal's village, just a small area, not really much to say other than it's going to be used for a few save abuses later on. But here, mostly dialogue, getting the save point, and talking to Pascal just to progress the story. And with this, we're gonna return to our Android village.
自爆のカウントダウンを出
It's
しな
gonna
が
be a
ら
little bit of a walk, so
走っております
but
が、
Phonicus, if you have
ニ
anything.
アオートマタにおいて最速の移動方法になっておりますので、
Yeah, sure. You've been doing a great job. Thank you.
される皆様ですね。
So yeah, in case you're just joining us, we are the English Speedrun Restream of RTA in Japan Summer 2025. Of course, RTA in Japan currently raising funds for Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières. Currently up to over 3.25 million yen.
今回は
So they're doing a fantastic job. If you too would like to add to that total,
こういった動物が
you
い
can
ます。
type donate in the chat,
ですね。
and that'll lead you to a link that will be in Japanese, but this being the internet, there's plenty of ways to get that translated out, so you may navigate it.
かかるので、
Definitely not the
事前に
On top of that, we are still looking for some commentators for some runs throughout the course of the week. If you think that anything on the schedule interests you, or if you're familiar with any of the games coming up,
必要なアイテムを
go ahead and there's a there's a pinned link at the top of chat for a form to sign up for some
アイ
commentary.
テムを渡してあげる必要があります。行ったり来たりですね。
I see there's a moose on
行
screen.
ったりするのを
Yes,
I'm not-
I will explain. Moose's friend. Don't worry, Moose's friend. We love the moose. Moose helps us go very fast, as you can see. We use the little animal feed to bring the moose to us and just
今
ride him to go very fast.
減ってますよね。
都合がいいな。
Wait, I said Moose's friend. What are we doing this? Oh no.
だよということで、ここで
It's a joke. I actually know why we're doing this. It's actually intended. So here we're aggravating the moose to kill us and do a safe into a death abuse
レジスタンスキャンプでこなしたミッションは達成
because we need to return to Pascal's village very fast because our next section is not far away from it.
2B が一体犠牲になりましたが、その犠牲もやむなしということで壁抜けをしていきます。
We also need to clear a few missions if I remember correctly.
ね。
Jupi, this is an emergency transmission from the bunker.
Moose friendly fire. Yeah, unfortunate.
裏での依頼が
We had to do it.
何か大きな異様な
Moose was not happy, but at least Moose helped us.
何が起きているかと言いますと、この廃墟都市にチュートリアル
Now, the one thing that happened while Moose was very happy to kill us is that
あれが
there's another Ingalls.
現れています。今からそれを倒
They
し
never told me in Das Kapital that two Ingalls were going to fight.
もう決死の覚
Is
悟
were going to fight us. I don't know. In any case, Angles is coming, actually attacking the area, and we're gonna be progressing towards the top of the building we arrived on Earth on our second visit, because there's flying units waiting for
エンゲルス
us,
の足を殴り
and we're
ま
gonna be entering another shmup section to deal with
す
Angles.
イベントもあります。ぜひやったことない人は試してみてくださ
Here
い。
he is, towering all over us.
本来はこの後エンゲル
If
ス
you
に
thought Engels was big when we saw him at the factory, don't worry, he's even bigger.
すると飛行ユニットが置いてあるので、それを使って倒していこうという流れになっております。
Also, shout out to my wonderful Metal Gear Solid 3 fans, doing a little bit of ladder.
飛行ユニットに乗って倒すんですが、ただしかし、
We're
その飛行ユニットの手前
this
で
little weight, and now we're climbing
エ
up.
ンゲルスですね。あれが邪魔をしてきます。でも邪魔されたくないですよね、山根さんね。
Alright, and we finally reached the zone with our flying
バ
armors.
ーンとビルの壁を壊して、
Be careful.
バーン
The
と
sides
こ
are
う、
packed with anti-air
今から俺と戦えというカメラ視点になるところを、スーッと横を抜けていってスルーします。
Ooh, lots of bullets coming our way, but now we just
倒しません。
get to go around dealing a lot of damage. While on a little bit of a
許してください。
set section, we're going to be progressing with a little bit of enemies coming from our sides. Again, completely set, no randomness here. Using a power up to just be next to Engels and defeat him. Like, that was a very quick hit. That was very
ここ
fast.
でエンゲルスを倒したことによってこの廃墟都市の地形
And
が
now, goodbye,
変わります
Engels. Thank you for coming
倒
again.
したエンゲルスが
We
自爆
love
する
you.
ことによってあの中央部に大きな穴が開いて
But Engels was not really happy and also kind of damaged a lot of the place. So we're kind of wondering what is happening here. But unfortunately, we're being told to actually go towards another place, despite the fact that we have a giant gaping hole in the main area now. Here we're actually going to be doing a dialogue skip by going a little bit down, triggering the dialogue, and then coming right up using our lift attacks. Make sure we don't have to do more dialogue around.
遊園地の入り口に確か案内してくれるロボットいますね。いますね。なんかどんなアトラクションあるか聞いてみますか。
So investigating that hole gonna be pretty difficult. So we're gonna need the help of this nice fellow. As you've seen, we kind of destroyed him without removing his dialogue box, which definitely is not gonna be a little bit difficult to navigate while keeping it on. But I trust Yamaneko to just do it without using it. Now, that setup is for a very specific reason, and that's because while you're in a dialogue box, you actually cannot be in a cutscene very specifically. So right now, we're actually entering a cutscene that is just talking, like finding out that we have just a giant alien pod in the hole. Apparently, there were aliens on this planet for some reason. And now we have, I mean, I recognize one of them. I think it's Adam, but also there's a new guy with him. Maybe a sudden Eve. But now progressing the dialogue makes them leave the fight. Here you were supposed to fight, Adam and Eve. No, you don't. You just have the cutscene. You just have the dialogue go out while you have the stamp collector's own dialogue box on. And that's how you make sure that you don't get stuck for a few minutes while fighting them, because actually fighting them doesn't really happen. It's just a giant, like, cutscene, but masquerading as a fight. Also here grabbing the ladder, because that way we trigger Jackass's dialogue. And we're gonna use the access point to move back to the bunker.
一定時間経過することでその戦闘が終了するんですが、その一定時間待つというのが実は長いということで、先ほどのスタンプカードの怨念を拾ってアダム・イブを倒すことで、実は遠回りしているように見えてかなり速くなっているというルートになります。
A little bit of mission briefing. Everything's going fine, and now we're returning to Earth pretty fast. We are going on to the next section that has been discovered, where some robots have been cheering for a king? A king. The king of robots. Maybe that rings a bell for some people. I don't know. But yeah, some robots have started to say that they have a king. I hope we know what that means pretty soon. But right now, returning to Pascal's village, we're buying a bit more things. Buying some material, as well as some doing some selling of some chips here, because we're not gonna need some of those. For example, what good does it help us to know what the map is? We already like know where we are. Also buying a few items and also upgrading Virtuous Contract. We actually managed to get Virtuous Contract to level 3, which is pretty good. We're going to be able to deal a lot of damage and take advantage of a lot of the taunts that we have on us. A few of the taunts chips that we're going to put on here let us up the damage while they're being taunted, while enemies are being taunted up. I do believe there's a bit of there's also the resilience chip, which resilience lets us actually not create knockback when we do attacks, which means we're going to be able to do even more damage very fast.
この白の契約レベル3による移動速度および攻撃力の上昇によって全然速くなって
Quickly progressing, you can see that spear dashing pretty powerful
レベルが1上がる
as we reach this bridge and reach into the mall section of the map. Now, the mall is just a front for the forest, which we'll progress through in a little bit. Here, there's going to be a couple of triggers that we have to go through. Reaching an entrance, reaching an exit that is actually blocked, so we're going to need to fight a little bit, and we're equipping items immediately just to deal with the enemies. You can also see if an enemy, like a robot, is taunted. You can see if their little round faces are actually red, because that tells us if they're actually taunted. Now, taunted also doesn't mean that they're gonna be angry at us. As you can see, that one, despite being taunted, just fled us because he was afraid, and so he was not happy, and unfortunately we had to stop it because we finally could progress towards the forest. Now, forest, obviously, again, more out of bounds. We're gonna need to skip a lot of story triggers along the way. There's gonna be one thing when we're gonna get close to the castle, which it's either going to be Mario Kart or Rainbow Road, and I will explain why they've called it Mario Kart or Rainbow Road when it happens there. But you're going to be seeing a lot of double lift going forward towards the castle. You can see in the background, and using our momentum just to cross a little bit of gaps and continue towards the castle. I think this is going to be Mario Kart. Yeah, this is going to be a Mario Kart. We're using the bridge here to actually progress here and just, ooh, almost done. Well done. Using this part of the geometry to actually progress towards the castle. Now, I don't remember exactly why it's called Mario Kart, but the reason why the other skip called Rainbow Road is because before, like, when you get Mario Kart, but better, it's Rainbow Road, right? My name Mario Kart. So now we're reaching the castle, and the castle is actually a pretty fun area if you're playing it casually, because it's an entirely 2D section. You're actually going to be playing from side to side, but unfortunately it means that we can't really progress very fast, and there's a lot of rooms in this castle. So what we're going to be doing is just ignore that part, go into the 3D section that is outside, and then load in a trigger to continue the story, where we get into our next boss fight.
さあ一番奥たどり着いたところには森の国の王ですね。
Now another cutscene trigger skipped by going above, and now we finally met the king. It's a robot baby, and the robot baby was getting targeted by this lady, whom you might know the name. Person A2, slated for execution. I wonder why. But now, execution is pretty fast because we just damage glitch and do the power boost. On top of that, seeing that also you can get double damage glitch. Double damage glitch is just damage glitch, but you have two weapons to do it, and so you just do 10 times the damage, but because you have two blades. It's perfectly normal, and this is how we just defeat a lot of enemies. Also here, another cutscene skip, pretty cool, well made, well executed. And now that we got our save point, we can just exit out, and we're done with the castle.
購入できます。特にニーアオートマタなんか2000円切ってますので非常にお得ですね。買えますので、ぜひぜひご購入していただければと思います。しかもなんと示し合わせたかのように RTA in Japan 終了日である8月15日までなんですよね。見てるんですかね。ありがとうございます。
Now, in our next part of the story, we're going to be going to the flooded city, and obviously at this point, I don't think I need to repeat myself, but to go there, we're going to do a little bit of out of bounds, having fun, and just ignoring what the story has for us.
本来であれば A2 を追いかけて森の国の外に出ていくんですが。
Now I will say that the out of bounds sequence for that pod are very funny, and you should totally watch intently because we're gonna be going very fast into the wall, and then we're gonna be just going through a lot of void pods, and then somehow we are the flooded city. Obviously, as the name implies, there's gonna be a lot of water, so. So phobia people, don't worry, everything is gonna be fine. We're gonna just do a little bit of a hangout in the village, and then we're just. Thank you, Anemone. I finally remembered your name, Nemone. And then here's an out of bounds. You just go through this part of the machinery, and then you're out. And now you just fall. And you fall again. And now we're in the flooded city. That's how it works. I don't make the rules. But now we've been invited back into a section that is actually safer for us to go down even faster into the water. And now we're at the end of the flooded city section. Gonna be doing a little bit of fighting, and we're gonna be going into our next boss fight as well. Boundaries are forbidden, I agree. I agree most. I agree a lot here. Just, there's a lot of out of bounds for some reason in this game, but it's still pretty amazing to see how you can use those sections to progress forwards. Out of bounds are pretty neat, but also like their mastery and understanding of how to use them is a major part of using them. But now, we're getting interrupted. There's a giant enemy coming to us, and also my cat is here. Don't worry about him. He just wants attention. I don't know if it was talked a bit about, but I'm wondering how popular the other routes are for speedrunning, and if they're as out of bounds as this one. I actually don't remember most of the other routes because I've been brushing up on the newest one. But yeah, there's been a few routes in the past, but I think that might also count for the few next endings, like especially the E ending, and so I don't really remember specifically about that. But now we're back into the shmup section, where we just defeat more enemies, and we're gonna be meeting our next boss, which is called the Goliath. Now, what do you think a Goliath would look like? If you're wondering if it's just a little pod that is circular and has a little opening, just like in a certain like Konami game, you were correct actually. Don't worry, everything's gonna make sense.
ちょっと恥ずかしいかもしれないですけどね。山猫さん、この今披露しております A エンドの RTA において、
So, more fighting on top of the aircraft carrier.
当然日本一速いです。
Being under attack, despite being ours, robots have decided to take down all of our offenses and defenses.
現在歩調なく日本で最も速くニーヤオートマタを
Talking about like something big coming over. I wonder what it is.
3位って言いましたが本当につい先日ですよね。
先週の火曜日とか
に走ってこう記録を更新するなどもう仕上がりバッチリですよね。
なんかやろうかな。
Very good usage here by Yamaneko of the sword and the missiles to just the machine gun just to defeat a lot of things.
まだバクバクですから
いやいざ走ってみると全然そんなのを感じさせない。
On a totally unrelated note, that Kaiju Rising game yesterday was pretty rad, wasn't it? I mean, I wish I could raise Goliath. I think it would be also a pretty fun game.
奏者さんが走っておられます。
But yeah. So here's Goliath.
現状としては今お見せしている
Flyer. Yeah, don't ask why. We have a Goliath flyer, but it's okay. It's Goliath, right? Definitely a fun boss that we can just defeat with the power of our pods, dealing a lot of damage.
スチームセールのお話
He also has a giant laser.
ただいま
Big giant friend
開催期間中など、東京池袋にてこのニーヤシリーズですね、15周年記念展覧会というものが 廃止しています。
Yeah, mostly trying to optimize the pod attacks towards the Goliath flyer, as now we're being won. The big thing is now. The big thing is coming.
いらっしゃるんじゃないでしょうか。
What is bigger than what we just defeated?
限定グッズがあったりだとかね、作中の
What is this giant
たりだとかして、
fish-like thing?
ファンにはたまらない
It's giant Goliath.
お聞きしております。で、その山猫さんがですね、
So, welcome to Goliath. He's big. He has a lot of protections. And to go quickly into the story of how we're gonna defeat him, simple. You have little energy balls that actually create its electromagnetic field that you can see swirling around the face of Goliath. And to manage him, we're going to need to basically destroy those before actually attacking its face. But to do so, we're going to be in a very, very long shmup section. That also just is going to be taking, I think, the good time of probably around 7 to 8 minutes. So, Pythonicus, if you have anything, or if you want to chat, we're totally welcome to do so.
Yeah, so we briefly spoke before coming back on air here, and I mentioned that I was I'm more familiar with NieR Gestalt or Replicant, the one before this, and I always find it fascinating how much more broken this is than the re-release of Replicant a few years ago.
Yeah, I have actually not touched on the Replicant remake, but I have heard some nice things compared to how broken this one is.
Yeah,
actually,
so
well managed.
Yeah, and speaking of this, I again, I'm not very experienced with Automata myself, but I do have the PC port, and I remember it being a bit not the best. It's not entirely the best port, but fans being fans have fixed it with mods. I assume they are. Is that specific mod, the Automata Fixer, whatever it was called, is that like a thing that is usable for speedruns?
No, actually, we're the only mod that is technically allowed is VC free mod, and only in its own category. Otherwise, you're playing as close as to the real game is, which I don't know if it's that I have not personally touched the PC version. I played on the PS4 when it came out, so I actually know more about how that version works, but I've seen that the PC version is preferred for now speedrunning.
Right. But yeah, it's the shmup sections. It seems silly in character action games or action RPGs like these, but Yoko Taro continues to do it. He cannot be stopped.
We had some shmup in the what is it, Dragon God 1? We had some shmup in Dragon God 3 as well.
Yep.
And we're just not gonna get free out of it. I mean, even the hacking minigames are shmups by themselves, if you really look at them.
It's one of those funny things. And I am a fan of Yoko Taro and how blunt he can generally be about, his design process.
Yeah. Oh, here we're finally reaching the Goliath destruction time. Shooting a giant rail cannon. But we can't shoot directly into the face. Where do you think its weak point is? That's right, the mouse.
The giant glowing weak spot, of course.
Yeah. Oh, a third one for good measure. A fourth one? Yes. That's it. We're good.
グリューンが立ちます。
Yeah, so you thought that Goliath was done. No, it's not done. I wasn't lying. He is taking a long time. Also, Pascal is here.
与えられたものの先ほどまで見えていたのはただのグリューンの頭と背中。
More shmup sections, again. Fun times.
巨大な手と足でこちらを攻撃。
Alright, well, if you are just joining us, we are the English Speedrun Restream of RTA in Japan Summer 2025. We're happy to have you, even if we're currently in a bit of a lull in the pacing of NieR Automata here.
グリューンに関する情報をくれています。
It's just the one time where they decided, yes, we should do an entire shmup boss.
機械生命体なんでしょうか。
And I am accepting of that. To be fair, Goliath actually is one of my favorite bosses, but mostly for its music.
The music in these games is genuinely one of the highlights. The original release of NieR Gestalt Replicant was not entirely the best video game, as Drakengard 1 through 3 aren't usually they aren't usually on people's top 10 lists for gameplay.
Yeah,
but in OG NieR's case, the music was absolutely a redeeming factor.
Yeah, there's a clear, almost, oh, it's fine if I grind this much because the music is here. Although, too bad Shadowlord doesn't play that much as much as I would like for it to happen.
危険だという印象を抱かれた方は多いんじゃないでしょうか。当然そうだと思いますが、実際このグリューンの思考というのは本当に幼い子供
Giant glowing orbs that you need to defeat.
で、ただグリューン自体は
At least the good thing about the Goliath is his weak points are very easy to spot.
普通ではなかったというところで凶暴性みたいなものが発露してしまい、
That's good for us, perhaps not so good for the machine life forms.
Yeah, you know, joints incapacitate you. Oh my god, he is so big. It's so funny to see Goliath just move around.
彼なりの心がある存在であるという悲しいバックス。
Yeah, I am not fully aware, but I think you do know Biphonicus. I mean, unless we don't want to spoil too heavily on NieR Gestalt / Replicant ending about how NieR Automata is, like, how they lead into NieR Automata.
I am vaguely aware, but also the Replicant remake is recent enough that I think we avoid spoilers on that one.
Yeah, we're gonna avoid spoilers on that one because, I mean, there's differences that I know of, but we shall not obviously speak of them. Oh my god, so much shmup.
So why is Pascal here anyway? What is he doing?
Support? Moral? I think moral support is the play here, because Pascal is known to be a pacifist in the game, and doesn't really want to fight. That's why also when we meet Pascal, Pascal and his entire village crew are waving white flags. They're saying, "Hey, we don't want to fight. We could cooperate." Into maybe having a wonderful life together, you know, coexist. Someone mentioning, I have it in mind, but the weird thing is that you also have to see a stage play to get the full context of what happens between NieR Replicant and NieR Automata. Yes, cross media. I love you, Japan, but no, please stop. Please stop doing this. In any case, Goliath is finally dispatched. We can finally continue to our next section of the game, the Lost City. But first we're gonna be moving again, spear dashing, a beloved.
でも山猫さんはどこにいるかもう分かってるんですよね。
もう何百回やりましたか。
そう
trying to go back up. I think there's a cutscene trigger that we need to hit before actually going into another out of bounds. Because the velocity is further down the road in the giant hole that we saw earlier when we went to meet the alien pod. There it is. That's my that's my out of bounds game that I love. Have a little bit of a Larry coming in. Hi, Larry. Beautiful cat. As we wait for now the door to open, because that's where progress is. He is the lost city.
いい曲ですね。
いやそうここマップに入った瞬間に流れるこの曲がすごくいい。なんかこうちょっと
For some reason, lots of androids also dead here, but it's fine. We shall see what happened to them. By meeting Adam again. Hi, Adam. Bye, Adam. We don't really like Adam here because he talks a lot. He just keeps talking about philosophy and things, and this is not a class, this is a speedrun, and we need to get out. So we're just gonna be going far away from Adam to just skip his dialogue text, because we just don't really want to be stuck here for another philosophical lesson. Using the door here just to get away from the place, and now we're triggering the bus fight, and we just want to get out. Please, Adam, please stop. And now we're done. Now we're actually gonna go fight Adam because we're gonna be forced back into the arena. And here we're gonna immediately put up some items up, a little bit of attack boosts, and defeat Adam in a very fast manner because, again, it's actually pretty easy to deal with him. You just don't. Oh, I think someone is unhappy that we're not dealing with Adam. Let's go. Don't know what happened on Yamaneko's side, but it's totally fine. A little bit of taunt when we use our damage boosters to just defeat Adam very fast and wait for the next phase to start. Because we need to do a sudden attack on him. There it is. So now Adam's second phase, if I remember correctly, where he is full, like, ready for battle, and the battle shall be over pretty soon. There we go. That's an Adam done. Adam has researched the new technology, drip. Yes, that is very important. And now that Adam is done talking to us because he is dead, definitely nothing wrong is gonna happen. Definitely not a robot uprising or anything like that. Like, we're just gonna go away to the factory because we just learned that there's kind of something weird happening. A group of people want us to introduce us to a god? First a king, then now a god. That's a bit too much. But the group is at the factory, so let's go there and move very fast towards it. Using double lift to get back to the giant road leading to the factory. Now, if you have played NieR Automata on casually, you might remember the factory, this part of the factory, actually being very long. Like, it's an entire section where you're lost into the labyrinthine passageways of the game, and you kind of wonder, is there out of bounds to get out of this? Well, of course there are. We're gonna get to those, but first of all, we're gonna be doing a little bit of some dialogue skips to not have to deal with some cutscenes later on about how the god is great, and definitely nothing wild is gonna happen there.
当然剣を投げた後
Now, as Pascal is just talking to us, having a little friend time, we're just gonna prep for the factory, as it's gonna be our last section before we actually get to the end of the run.
さあということで
But here, friendly guy, hey, what's... Do you want to lead us to your god? Or to your prophet?
独自の宗教に基づいて
I think you shall be happy to know that the god is very nice.
今こちらに
I believe so.
あの機械生命体
Now, he do be slow. But it's okay. We are not... We're ready to wait a little bit. I mean, they're being so nice to invite us in. We wouldn't be mean to them, right?
26個ですね。アルファベットの数分だけあります。例えば1周目をクリアすれば A エンドフラワー
Now, in the elevator. Also, if you're not aware, Pascal is afraid of elevators.
との戦闘で負けてしまった場合
He is not a fan. He's gonna be just
根幹である防衛
just not happy when we're gonna be in there.
さらに
But it's okay. We're getting close to the procession,
アジ食べるとアジを食ったエンド
and we can now use one of the close friends to get another dialogue. And as you've seen in the Alien Pod, having a dialogue box while a cutscene, like another dialogue box is going to happen, is going to be very useful. You're going to be able to skip this cutscene and immediately go into the into gameplay instead of waiting for another dialogue to go for. And now we're already out of bounds. And with this, we're kind of like 90% back because we just, instead of going around, we're actually gonna just try to return on our path.
天井から惜しいですね
Missing the skip here.
上に乗れるんです
So being brought back here.
上に乗るとまた別の動きをしてるその
Okay.
これエレベーターって本来
Almost
中に乗って扉が開
And
くじゃん
now we have the elevator
で
back
エレ
here.
ベーターの動き
The
を
one that we just came through.
先に進むことができるということができます
Now, all the guys that were there before, they're dead. And also, at some point we lost 9S. I forgot to mention that. 9S is now back. Don't worry about that. He is now inside the body of that one robot that we just saw. He just so happens to be in here and helping us, despite the fact that he kind of blew himself up a bit ago.
当然儀式場に戻っても、工場廃墟の入り口に戻る
Now we're finally back to the giant room, and now we can actually progress back to the path that we were on before by having done the dialogue trigger. Also here, we're getting outside of the elevator we just went through. And now we're finally reaching the end section. Perfect. Let's go.
このままゴールにたどり着きます
Now, with this, we like skipped a good amount of the game, a good amount of the factory section. I would say almost 85%. We're still gonna be having a few rooms to go through, while we just continue to do out of bounds to go through. Oh, it seems like they almost missed it. They're gonna have to void back up. Yeah.
乗ってますね
でもなんかいけててなんかいけてる
All right.
足場判定取れてたんですね
Yeah, those out of bounds, even if they look amazing, they are very tough to execute. And Yamaneko has been doing a banger job, even with a few mistakes. It's totally like it's been amazing to see this. Now, we're stuck in an arena, and there's a giant ball called Soshi. Welcome, Soshi. Soshi likes to have a giant barrier that we actually can't do anything about, so we're just gonna go here and stand while waiting for a few minutes, while Soshi just hangs out? He's a friend, is what I'm gonna say.
こちら RTA で必須のテクニックとなっておりますということでたどり着いた一番奥のステージでボス戦ですが
He's just vibing with us, and I hope that you're having a fun time here while we just wait for Sochi just let us go after we have a little talk with him.
8って言うじゃないですか。ここまで来てるのにまだまだかかるんですよ。BGM で測れます。ターン、ターン、ターン、ターン。この次。
Okay, so now we're finally in.
ここですね。
And we're waiting.
はい。
Finally. All right. So the system has finally shut down, and we can actually continue because 9S was actually hacking the place, and now Sochi is just easy prey for us because we just continue to do double damage glitch with a big attack boost on us, and yeah.
はい、スムーズですね。
With that, Sochi is gone, and now we can finally exit the factory.
名前も言う暇ありませんでしたね。
Now, I will say, be aware there's going to be a bright light coming soon because we've been in the factory for so long. We don't really know what the light is like anymore.
で、上まで戻ります。
I don't know why Yamaneko is bullying Pascal. Please be nice. Please be nice to a very pacifist robot. Also doing another out of bounds to get out of the factory. And now we're back to the tutorial area, just like before. Continuing on the same path. And yeah, we're almost out of there.
さらに空中移動。はい、これで入り口ですね。
And we're out.
ちなみにこの教団、もはや説明ができませんでしたが、どんな教団かと言いますと、
Now, with this, we're pretty much close to the end of the run. We just need to deal with a sudden, I don't want to say uprising, more like someone's gone pretty unstable after the death of their brother. I wonder who it was. It might have been Eve. Eve might have not been a fan of Adam dying, and has kind of gone angry at us and kind of wanting to annihilate androids because of us. So we're quickly gonna rush towards the village as the robot uprising is happening. Well, if it isn't the consequence of my actions. Exactly. Right now, we're not getting any messages back from Anemone or the Android Village chief. And now we see that they've been attacked. So here we're gonna have a little bit of a section fighting around. We're gonna need to progress towards this section. That is a 2D section with some dialogue. And we're gonna need to protect our friends and defeat those giant robots. Now this section, if you've played casually, is pretty tough. You have a lot of enemies coming from forwards and just a lot of defense, a lot of protection. But Yamaneko, again, double damage glitch, just destroying with ease those robots. And here we have a giant guy, but he didn't do much because his attacks are very slow and we are just way faster than him. Now reaching level 17, and we're now going on to our final boss of the run. Also, damn, you're back, Sochi? It's actually not Sochi, it's its brother, Mukshi. He's not a fan as well, but being used to actually defeating giant balls of metal, we just use it for this self-destruction, and we just deal a lot of damage immediately to go into the Eve boss fight immediately. Eve currently is inside a cocoon that we're gonna need to break with our attacks. Now here, just baiting Eve's attack into our ground so that we can easily defeat a good amount of the cocoon. Now, unfortunate damage here, trying to dodge the attacks. And Eve should be probably going to its next phase pretty soon. Yes, there it is.
たまに RTA 奏者ここで暇だからって釣りしてます。
Now, giant flying worm of robot pots is also going to be our enemy.
小ネタですが、当然このゲーム
Also, Pascal's village is also under attack. Don't worry about that. We're going to be dealing with that later. Or will we? More likely, it's going to be dealt in another ending.
カテゴリーもありまして、100% カテゴリーだと確か開始10分か20分くらいで、その 0. 何%の魚が引けるまでひたすら釣りをやめないみたいなチャートになっていて、本当に見ててこの人よくやれるなって思いながら。
Moving very fast. I will mention that if you're interested in running the game, this community has been very welcoming to any PC or PS4 runners. I kind of wanted to run the game at some point, but I've been too busy learning other video games with other hacking minigames. So maybe one day, maybe I will return to this game because it's been a lot of fun casually, and I'm sure people would love to, one, play it casually, or two, maybe try to speedrun it as we manage. As we, you can learn how to do all those beautiful out of bounds. Yeah, PC, PS4, I think Xbox 360, Xbox One is also accepted. You should totally try it out.
ここでラスボスイブとの戦闘です。
And now we're staying on this spot just to wait for Eve to come back. As we literally landed next to his spawn point. Alright. Now Eve is like, he's very pissed, and especially when we're taunting him. But thanks to healing in the good time, we actually didn't take much damage from this attack. Trying to deal a lot of damage here, despite Eve just wanting us dead at this point. His attacks are pretty difficult to dodge as well due to their nature, just giant walls of robot pots. But here we're kind of waiting for the cocoon to form back and continue the fight with more damage boosts on our pods. Breaking the cocoon puts him in a little bit of stagger. We take advantage of that. As Eve is kind of pushing himself even further. And now he's a little cooked, but it's okay. He's still around. He can still work and deal damage to us. And now he's flying. Just normal things to learn as a robot. Now Eve is gonna send us a giant walls of bullets to us, and we're trying to get as close as possible to deal damage. There's going to be a point where we're going to be self-destructing, just right now, to deal a lot of damage, and it's also kind of intended in the fight. But now we're trying to make sure we don't die in this section. Now, obviously, we're not on very hard, which, if you're aware, you die in one hit. So we can actually use our healing items to actually survive this section, and trying to weather Eve's barrage of attacks. Now, right now, can't really do much outside of just moving around because self-destruction means we're in a pretty damaged state. We can't really do attacks, and this is why we're using our pod to do most of the damage in this situation. At some point, we finally managed to do enough damage to Eve, and we're finally taking Eve out. Time is gonna come pretty soon, as we're talking about how 2B and 9S are way too damaged to fight against a robot uprising. And they're gonna need to sacrifice themselves in some way. Trying to send the final data for the bunker so that they can actually defeat, as 9S is currently getting corrupted. And that's a beautiful time, 125.23, that's a really good time for a non-VC free mod.
ちょっと満足してない感を出して
All
ます。
right, wonderful commentary. Thank you very much, Jupi. Where can we find you on the internet?
でも
You can find me at twitch.tv/Cutefangies, or you can find me on Blue Sky, also cutefangies.bsky.social. I do speedruns. I do sometimes not speedruns. I hope you enjoyed my commentary. It's been a lot of fun. I really didn't expect to commentate for this game, to be honest, but I'm really happy I did so.
ありがとうございます。
And we are just as happy that you've chosen to do so as well.
宣伝や話しておきたいことな
So
ど
we are, as always, the English Speedrun Restream of RTA in Japan, currently in the middle of RTA in Japan Summer 2025.
現状アクティブで活動している人が
We will shortly be cutting to an intermission, and while we do so, we're going to take a quick break. However,
皆さんも
my time on the host mic for tonight is done. Coming up next, we're going to put you on the capable hands of Minusmans, and I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful time of day. Thank you very much for coming in, and hope you continue enjoying the runs.
そうですね、僕からの一つの一番伝えたいことですね。
もう X とか Twitch とかでね、ニーヤオートマタ RTA なんてタイトルを入れて入れようものなら沼から手が伸びてもう引きずり込んできますからね。ぜひぜひプレイしていただきたいと思います。
RTA がなくても飛んでいきますね。
そうですね。初見プレイからしか得られない栄養素ありますからね。
僕この前仕事中に見に行きましたからね。
そう。そんな山猫さんもお勧めしているニーヤオートマタ、現在新規奏者向けの解説動画計画進行中になっております。既存の解説動画いくつか様々上がっているんですが、それよりさらに分かりやすく取り組みやすいものに仕上げる予定になっています。ニーヤオートマタジャパニーズコミュニティにてそのあたり計画進行中ですので、ぜひ興味のある方は、直接山猫さんだったりとかにコンタクトを取っていただくと、そのコミュニティディスコードですねに入ることができますので、ぜひぜひ興味のある方ご連絡いただければと思います。またこの後、この走り終わった後ですね、RTA in Japan サマーのラウンジにて、山猫さんがそのままニーヤオートマタのゲーム展開しますので、お声掛けいただければ直接教えていただけますし、プレイもできます。ぜひぜひ興味の湧いた方、一回ちょっと触ってみて RTA テクニックこんな感じなんだっていうのを体験いただければ幸いです。以上、あと山猫さん何かありますか？大丈夫ですか？
大丈夫です。
はい。ということで長々ご覧いただきましたニーヤオートマタ A エンドノーマル RTA、 結果のタイムは1時間25分23秒でした。改めて山猫さんお疲れ様でした。
ありがとうございます。
はい、ありがとうございました。引き続き RTA in Japan 続きます。ご視聴ください。ではでは。
次はソルト&サンクチュアリです。